I'm Alex.
And I'm Dan.
We're the RAGAMUFFINs, and this is episode 26 of the RAGAMUFFIN Music Podcast.
I was going to say we should probably address a few things before we start. Firstly, the average human male body is made up of about 60% water. Mine's made up of 60% mucus. So, apologies if I just sound a bit reverby. And secondly, James isn't here.
He's in Japan. He's having a holiday. But that's fine, because we've got a better replacement. It's Josh.
Hello. Thank you ever so much for having me.
Thank you very much for coming. We're very excited to hear what you've got to say today.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay.
Very excited. And I guess we'll start with talking about some news. Firstly, Ozzy Osbourne has retired from touring. Posted a lengthy statement that basically just said, my body can't take touring anymore. And that's it. Sort of a sad way for him to sort of end.
It's a shame, but it kind of felt inevitable, I think. Like the endless cancelling of tours. I mean, he clearly really wanted to do it and wanted to do everything he could to make it happen, but it just can't go on, I guess.
In other news, the Brit Awards. Did any of us watch the Brit Awards?
I did not.
Nope.
Well, I guess the only category for us to talk about that's relevant is the Best Rock and Alternative Act.
Which is interesting because I'm not sure any of the nominees are necessarily rock and alternative, apart from maybe Nova Twins. Were they in that category?
So the category was Arctic Monkeys, Nova Twins, 1975, Tom Grennan and Wet Leg. And it was won by the 1975. Boo! No, I hate to be like old man yells at cloud about it, but Nova Twins are the only alternative band.
Yeah, I feel like if you're going to have, even if you're just going to bolt it onto the side to be like, yep, we're still pretending to care about alternative music, at least have the nominees be alternative bands, not bands that are nominated for every other award on the night anyway. Because Wet Leg cleaned up. They won like everything they were nominated for apart from this.
Yeah. And the 1975 have not been alternative.
Are not an alternative band anymore.
Maybe their first EP, maybe the first album. But Tom Grennan as well. In what world is that anything other than pop? I don't know. It annoyed, like, at first I didn't want to get annoyed about it because I think it's like a mainstream award show. It's like, what's the point? But then I saw a tweet from Tom from Straight From The Path, and he compared it to when Parasite won Best Picture at the Oscars. It made a whole new audience discover that film and then fall in love with that film. And I think if we're treating things with the same sort of respect, then that could have opened up Nova Twins to a brand new audience of people who like alternative music instead of just giving it to the 1975 sort of for the sake of it. And I felt the same about with
we'll
the
give
Grammys.
it to the one we've heard of.
Yeah, and it was like when Ozzy beat like Turnstile for the Grammy as well. It was like, well, are you just picking the name that you recognise rather than, maybe there's bias there because I like Turnstile, but I don't know, it just frustrated me a little bit. But they can open up people to like a lot of really great bands and help push the scene forward, and instead they're just going for
and then make
the
that category
bets.
stronger in future years rather than just have it continue to slowly lose like genuine alternative acts in it.
Yeah.
And then have to go, oh, they play guitar, they're an alternative band.
The last bit of news is bands have started a revolution on Twitter about merch cuts. People are getting angry, and Architecture Drummer Dan Searle's even called for basically bands to strike or unionise really to sort of combat merch cuts. And everyone and their nan's weighing in.
The best example for me, I think, is like fans go to the gigs, they go to the venue itself for the band. They don't go necessarily because they love the venue. In some cases, that's not true. There's some great venues out there that have a great appeal, and I'll go out of my way to go to a certain date on a tour because I like that venue. But that's not my point. Like the bands don't get a percentage of the cut from the bar, so why should the venue get a cut from something the band have done themselves?
Yeah.
They've had a designer to design the merch, the production costs to make it. The venue hasn't really provided any kind of assistance with any of that. All they've done is provided a space at the back of the venue for them to sell it in. They shouldn't really take the size of cuts that they're taking, if any at all.
Yeah, especially with like when you think about all the ways that bands can earn money and the way that streaming has sort of affected that part of a band's revenue. But then the dependence on things like merch sales has to sort of take over to supplement where bands now lose money from like streaming pay, which is obviously shit. And it's frustrating, isn't it? Because it's just like, also as a fan, when bands have to up the prices to counteract what the merch cut is,
Yeah,
fans are then suffering because now I've got to pay 25 quid for a t-shirt that could just be...
The band gets given a bit of a dilemma there, because either they've got to put the price of the merch up so that they can make enough money, and or they've got to slash costs somewhere else.
Yeah.
Like, for example, I saw Enter Shikari recently, and Enter Shikari are quite famous for putting on really well done production, loads of lights and stuff. And they did that on this recent tour, but their t-shirts for the tour were £35, which for me prices me out of it. I don't want to buy a t-shirt for £35, but they've had to do that, because if they didn't do that, they would have probably had to just get rid of a lot of the production that they wanted to do, and the show wouldn't have been the spectacle that you come to know with Enter Shikari. And that'll apply for a lot of bands. I read that, I think it was alleged that Bring Me the Horizon were breaking even on ticket sales for their recent arena tour in the UK, and that it was the merch they were making money on.
That's crazy, isn't it? I mean, I understand because they put, I imagine, a lot of their money back into the production, but like you said,
that's exactly it.
Yeah, I don't know. It's frustrating because...
And again, I don't know if that's entirely true or not, but it's quite likely.
It just feels unfair, and it feels like it's unsustainable for like younger and like up and coming bands to be able to get like a foothold and like be able to get their ball rolling if they're just constantly fighting against it. So yeah, tough one. The last bit of news, it seems like every bloody festival under the sun has made massive lineup announcements lately.
Absolutely.
Too much to go into, but I just want to get from each of us, what is the festival you're most excited for based on lineups that we've got at the moment?
Based on lineup alone, it's 2000 Trees for me, which is like great, because I've said in the past how I would go to Trees regardless of the lineup, but so the fact that they've got a really, really strong lineup with so much consistency throughout it, I think says a lot. Like they've not even named two of their headliners yet, and it's already so stacked. And throughout the whole thing, from the small names at the bottom right up to the top, there's just so much good stuff there for me.
I'd say for me, it's a toss-up definitely between 2000 Trees and literally Download Festival, to be honest. I think Download Festival is going to be, painful for me in the sense of having to make those like clash decisions of figuring out who to go and see, when honestly, like literally, you know, it's from the bottom to the top, there is bands that have worked really hard and definitely deserve that spot at that prestigious festival, to be honest. I then have to say about 2000 Trees as well, just like with what Dan said, it's sort of like last year I had such a good time with it, and I literally think as we were walking out, I was like, I'm gonna, you know, make a point to basically support this festival, come here sort of like every year, sort of the same regardless of who's on. But oh my goodness, like the genuine excitement, sort of like dopamine and serotonin that I'm getting from seeing these festival lineups that we're planning this season, honestly, we're gonna have a great time. But I just want to say as well about Outbreak Festival, they are cooking, lads. They are cooking.
We're all still on the fence. Everyone else is on the fence about it, but
I can appreciate the lineup, but like for me, it's not quite pulling me in yet.
Ragamuffin listeners, get in that comment section, bully these guys.
Josh does. He bullies us in the comment section all the time.
Yeah, I mean, it's all part of the fun. It's all, you know, got to keep you guys on your toes. But yeah, get in that comment section, say some kind words about Outbreak, and maybe twist these guys' arms.
I'll just add to what you said about Download as well. I really like this year how it's almost like they've finally just bitten the bullet and gone, right, let's get some new stuff in. Let's promote the new blood.
Yeah, and it's worked, because like camping's sold out now.
It's sold out already.
There we go.
Which is proof of what people have been saying for years, that like it's unsustainable to keep all these older generational bands coming back, because that audience base is shrinking. But like older fans don't want to camp for 4 or 5 days, you know, just to see metal. Whereas like we're young, spry, full of energy, you know, they might as well start appealing to the people that can like consistently be there year in, year out, like from now and into the future. And also it's going to give a lot of bands like, I think Ghost, Architects, Parkway Drive, being in the spots that they're in this year is like a good test for what their like future potential is, as far as like headlining second stage or like potentially headlining main stage in the future. Yeah. And you know what? I've made my peace with double Metallica. I'm actually happy about it now.
Well, now that Metallica have announced the rest of that tour, where they're doing like 2 nights in every city, it kind of just makes sense now that they do the 2 nights of download as well.
And also, I think it's a good way to ensure that people are there for Bring Me On Friday, because they've put Metallica either side.
Yeah,
That's a good point.
So, like, if you're
rather than showing up for the Thursday,
people would
Friday,
just show up. Yeah. So, yeah, good on them. I'm excited. Download's going to be fucking sick. I was going to talk about Park Life, but it's not really relevant. But have you seen the headliners?
It's not my kind of thing, but I really like that lineup.
No, go on. What's this?
Park Life Festival headliners. I think this is one of the best examples of booking headliners across genres and across like generations. So they've got the 1975, not keen on, but they are big. H, Fred again, who's like the Prodigy,
Sick,
Little Sims,
cool,
and then Wu-Tang Clan and Nas doing a joint set.
How do I not know about this?
Yeah, isn't that insane?
Okay.
Wu-Tang and Nas together is so
Jeez.
sick. I just think that's a really good mix of like ages, generations, genres, and styles.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So shout out Park Life. Never would have considered going, but that's like, I'm a little bit tempted. And that's the news. Last episode we recommended some albums, so now's the time for us to have a little chat about them. James isn't here, but we'll still talk about his recommendation anyway. Let's start with that. It was Disease by Beartooth. What do we all think?
That's a cracking album, isn't it?
We've heard it before.
We've all heard it before. We all loved it before, and I think we all still love it now. It's just packed with bangers. I think maybe their definitive album.
Yeah.
One where they kind of found their sound a bit, because sort of everything since then has sort of stemmed from this album, which sounds obvious when I say it out loud, but I know what I mean.
No, I know what you mean. Yeah. It felt like they were on the 2 albums prior. They were trying to they were almost like forcing themselves to stay in like the hardcore aspect of like their sound, whereas this was the first album where they just sort of opened themselves up to just a wider range of heavy styles, which proved, I think, successful.
Well, I'm going to be difficult. Sorry, lads. But essentially, I listened to the album and I've written it down on my notes here. Had him in the first half, not going to lie. Because I thought this album was actually top heavy, personally. Sort of had me in the first half, and by the end, I was already kind of looking to see what I was going to listen to next, really. And I can't really put my finger on exactly what it was. But as a whole, I can't take away from Beartooth. I feel like they're amazing musicians. I mean, I've seen them live at Slam Dunk, and honestly, they put on a fantastic show. And I'm sure that I'll see them again and really enjoy it. But just this, I just don't think this album maybe grasped me as much as I would have liked it to. But I can't deny that basically those first few songs of that album really did sort of have me gripped, and then sort of as it just progressed, I sort of just lost it.
Yeah, as I've just looked at the track listing, I can sort of understand.
There's definitely some more melodic stuff towards the end.
Okay. But,
yeah, definitely the riffier stuff is at the start.
Cool.
But, yeah.
But, yeah, that's what I thought.
Your opinions are valid.
Yeah, okay.
And I respect you for them.
That's nice. No, cheers. I'm not just going to be a yes man.
No, that's what we want.
Yeah, no,
Good.
Cool. Appreciated.
Dan, what did you recommend last time?
I recommended Technology by Don Broco, mainly because I wanted James to listen to it, so I forgot that he wasn't going to be it. Yeah, I really like it. What do you guys think? I mean, you both really like Don Broco, so...
As a listener, I'm like a playlister rather than like listening to albums. So like when I listen to Don Broco, I just chuck it all. I've got like a playlist that I've already made of like my favourite ones. So listening to this as a whole album, I sort of forgot how many bangers were all on this album.
Absolutely.
Because also some of it feels like, when I think about Don Broco, some of these songs feel like they're from completely different eras, and I don't know why. But like things like Stay Ignorant and Come Out to LA feel separate from like Pretty and T-Shirt Song in my head. I don't know why. It's such a... I don't know. So I just sort of, as I was listening to it, I was like, God, so many bangers on this album. And then I just sort of appreciated the deeper cuts a bit more, because I don't revisit it as a whole album that often. So I just enjoyed it as a whole. Yeah, love it. They're a great band.
So the thing is with Don Broco, and I don't know, I'll see what you guys think if this is a fair point or not, but I feel like they're a band that they've sort of got their formula, and you kind of know what you're going to get, except they sort of just edit the formula every now and then to sort of like you were saying, that diversity within that album of those different songs. You didn't even feel like they're on the album, but they are.
Yeah.
But it's weird because I feel like they've sort of got their thing and they sort of just run with it. I don't know, but I feel like they've delivered some great things. They put on a fantastic show. Seeing them next month, and my brother actually messaged me this morning. He was there in Copenhagen last night. They're on a co-headline tour with Sleeping with Sirens.
Oh my God.
And they got there to catch Donny B, and because it was a alternating headline, they got there and they only caught 3 Don Broco songs.
Oh no,
brutal. Yeah, gutted. But no, Don Broco, Technology. I mean, as well, I feel like I heard that actually, like, some of the I feel like I heard somewhere that the radio stations like BBC and stuff actually like legit hated Don Broco.
Oh right.
And I feel like the album Technology was like a one that sort of helped them sort of break through, and you know, they sort of overcame some sort of stuff within the industry trying to hold them back, and like genuinely, like, it kind of makes it more of a testament to their success, really.
Yeah, my favourite Don Broco album as well.
Really?
Yeah, mine too, definitely.
Priorities, for sure, is mine. But
that's okay.
Thanks, man.
You're wrong, but that's fine.
Oh God.
Anything you want to say about it, Dan? I know it was your recommendation, but
well, yeah, I know it's my recommendation, so I will give a negative. I think the lyrics on this album are absolutely dog shit.
Okay.
I think that's a
but instrumentally, it really makes up for it.
Yeah,
and then when you kind of accept that that's again sort of their thing, that they just do fun, silly lyrics, then it's fine.
I think that was what like I got to in my own head with their latest album about the lyrics, because I was like, and that's what sort of took me out of the enjoyment, because I was like, oh, it's just a bit naff. Like, what you're saying is a bit naff, and then once you sort of get over it and just have fun,
that's it.
The album gets so much better.
That's where Don Broco really thrive, is when you kind of get past the point of taking them seriously and just go, this is a party band. This is fun.
Yeah,
it's just a laugh. It is literally just, it's a laugh. Like,
oh, it's not that deep, mate.
Yeah.
And I recommended Throne's Extended Pain EP. I thought this band was sick when I found them. When I was recommended them. And yeah.
The cheek of it.
Sorry. Well, I knew that we'd all like it. That's why I recommended it.
It's short, it's sharp, but it's so sweet. I really like it.
Short and sharp. That is literally what I've written here. Can you confirm?
I can confirm he's written that down.
Can you believe it, folks? He's just written that down.
Unbelievable, Jeff. Essentially, like, the whole thing was just like so. It just felt full of hate. Like, it felt like a little just sort of ball of hate, and you sort of, I was just like, I don't know. I like, you sort of felt that shit, and it gets you pumped. And honestly, that's all you could really want from a short, sharp shock of a metalcore EP. I also thought as well, the production was absolutely incredible. Like, honestly,
I thought the production held it together really well. Like, it feels like there's a lot going on, but it's in a very controlled way.
And also, like, there's a pretty bad trend in like modern metalcore and hardcore, where like overproduction to the point of like things sounding like mechanic, and like things like, you know, the drums are like snapped to the grid, everything's too clean.
Yeah.
Whereas this is produced really well. It's produced really well, but it doesn't have that same. It still feels pretty raw.
Like raw, yeah.
Yeah,
that's what you want.
And
really.
I feel like a lot of bands are trying to get to that sweet spot, but they're overdoing their production.
It just sounds too polished and sort of loses some of its edge, really.
Should we talk about some new music now?
It's my favourite kind of music.
Yeah. Heartbreak of the Century from Neck Deep. Me and you, Dan, big fans of Neck Deep.
We are.
And refreshing, this one, because I think we didn't take kindly to their latest album.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say, if you're up to date with our Neck Deep tier list videos, then you'll be aware that the last album really didn't do it for us. But I feel like these last 2 songs they've done are much more like it for me.
Yeah, it feels like somewhat of a like return to form. The only like sticking point for me still is that there's like every now and then his vocals are just a little bit too grating to listen to. And I feel like if they wrote this exact song with his like first EP or wishful thinking era vocal style, it would be like one of their best. But it's just like I've got to be really in the right mindset to enjoy his vocals now.
Thing is, I do feel like his vocals are better now in terms of actual quality than they were before. But in terms of the delivery, it just seems to be so high up that it's kind of just it just stays there. There's no kind of like diversity in the range or anything to kind of keep you interested. It's just up there the whole time, which, like you said, could be a bit grating, I think.
Yeah, with what Dan and Alex are saying, I completely agree. Like literally, I can't gel with that sort of just like almost like compressed delivery of like very high range vocals. It just doesn't tick the box for me, I'm afraid. And like I'm gonna be difficult again, and just like Neck Deep as a whole for myself, it's I've just never really got there with them, and I really respect like what they've done and where they're going and stuff like that. But I'm gonna be that guy, and I'm gonna be like, I probably like the bands that inspired Neck Deep rather than Neck Deep themselves. But I'm actually saying that, and I'm kind of cringing, so I'm sorry, Ragamuffin Music Podcast listeners, for that one. And also, I just want to say, we listened to the music video, and there was like some like samples because they're trying. There was like talking. I thought that was corny as fuck. Basically, yeah.
Yeah, I thought the video was fine, but I'd never watch it again. Like Alex said before we started recording, like if you were to go back and just to listen to the song, you're not going to want to use the YouTube video for it, the music video for it. So
yeah. I don't know. I think I'm somewhat hopeful about where things are going as far as new music, and I feel like because they've been doing anniversary stuff for Rain in July and History of Bad Decisions, maybe that's sort of ignited a desire to write somewhat old. You good? You look like you're about to sneeze.
I'm holding a sneeze back.
I feel like that's ignited a desire for them to write sort of old school feeling music, which I think will be enjoyable. It's just the vocals sometimes can be a bit much, but
that said, I enjoyed the vocals more on the previous single. I thought they were a bit more interesting on that because they kind of had a bit of an up and a down. They kind of carried a bit of melody to it, whereas on this one they just sort of stay there and drone along a bit. But instrumentally, really, really fun.
Yeah. The next song to talk about is Enter Shikari's latest one, It Hurts. I'm sat here with two pretty big Shikari fans.
Hell yeah. So essentially, Enter Shikari are probably one of my favourite bands of all time. I didn't go to Ralph Reynolds' book signing in Oxford because I feel like I probably would have got too emotional. So I just straight up didn't go. If that sort of gives like a basis of how much I actually do like them. Regarding this song, I didn't like it as much as the first single, the Please Set Me On Fire song, but that's not to say that I didn't like the song in general. It's just like I kind of like it all, like everything they produce. They're sort of one of those bands that are genuinely consistent. And going back to what we were saying earlier about Falling in Reverse, I think these guys honestly are sort of like they were trailblazers for sort of like differentiating sort of hardcore and post-hardcore to other things with mixing electronic music and things like that. Honestly, like I take my hat off to them. They really have opened the door to some fantastic music. The hook is great. That's just literally undeniable with this song. But it's just not my favourite Enter Shikari song. But I can't take away the fact it's good. I mean, I just want to say as well, like actually, when The Spark first came out, I actually didn't like that album for quite a bit, and then basically just honestly a few years passed, I revisited it and I absolutely love it, and that's the fun with this band.
I was the exact same with The Spark. Like, didn't click with it at first, and then like well, there was a couple of songs that I really liked on it, and then I kind of revisited it as a full album a year or so later, and I was like, oh no, I get it now. Maybe that's the same here. Really liked both the singles so far. This one I vibed with quicker than Please Set Me On Fire, but obviously Please Set Me On Fire was a bit of a grower, so I'd maybe put them on par for now at least.
Okay.
What I really like on this song is how kind of everyone's getting involved with the vocals a bit more. There's a lot more Chris and Rory in there as well, not just Raoul. Obviously Raoul's leading the charge as always, but there's a bit of everyone in there. Everyone's getting their kind of time to shine, I guess, and getting in amongst it. There's a lot of different sounds going on as well, but you kind of can still hear everything really clearly. the guitar tone is somehow really heavy but also very clean at the same time. So I think the production and the mix is really, really good on this song as well.
I'm curious because I know, Alex, you sort of, you know the bangers and stuff.
Yeah.
You know when to clap for Sorry You're Not a Winner.
Of course I
But
do.
but I'm intrigued, like, where are you at with sort of Shikari in general, and like what did you think of this song as well?
Well, it was something that I said when we talked about Please Set Me On Fire, and I feel exactly the same way with this song, is that in the past when I've listened to Shikari, like older stuff, I've always felt like as a like a new potential fan looking in, I've never been able to really get like a proper grip of where they are musically sometimes. With Please Set Me On Fire last time, we described it as like when you get to a party late and everyone's already drunk and making in-jokes, you don't understand what's going on.
Sure.
And that's how I felt with Shikari for a long time. Whereas with Please Set Me On Fire and with this one as well, it's like I got to the party on time and I'm getting drunk with everyone. With every style that I've heard them do in the past, these two songs feel like the best compilation of all those styles, like seamlessly.
Awesome.
Whereas I feel like in the past it's been a bit too jarring to be like, I'm in like a drum and bass song, now I'm in a metalcore song, but it's the same song.
But you don't like that sort of
I'm
thing?
not too
That's
keen
fine.
on it.
Okay.
I think because
Maybe it's just not the right entry level.
yeah,
Sure.
I think with the way that these songs are going, like if this album is similar in terms of being, I don't like using the word accessible, but I think if this is an accessible Shikari album, then maybe that will be my way in.
Cool.
Because I just don't feel like in the past I've been able to properly get hooked. Like I know the bangers, I really like Sorry You're Not a Winner. I love Live Outside. It's actually one of my favourite Shikari songs. I don't know if that
Amazing hook.
how that sits within the fan base, but
I think it's the same as what me and Josh were saying about the Spark. That song, really didn't like it when I first heard it, but then since I've seen it live a few times, I'm like, okay, I get it now. This is like, because when you see it live as well, it's a moment.
I think I need to see them live as well on like a headline.
This is what I'm banking on. I messaged you the other day, I think, when you asked how the
Yeah.
Shikari gig I went to was, and I was like, if it's anything like that, a slam dunk, then this will be what gets you into it.
Yeah.
This will be the moment.
I was going to say, I mean, this is another thing potentially we could talk about as well, in the sense that I was going to say, like, oh yeah, you're going to catch them at Slam Dunk. But the thing is, it's like now we know that Slam Dunk and The Offspring are going to be...
Hey. First time, is it?
Oh, dearie me. Right. Enter Shikari and The Offspring are billed to be basically playing the same time at Slam Dunk,
Yeah.
which I think is rough, personally. You know, their announcement on social media essentially translated to, yes, if you want to see both bands, then buy 2 tickets. I mean...
Which is, especially considering, like, I've not really looked into it, but I can't imagine that the journey from Hatfield to Leeds is an easy one. Much less doing it like either... So which one's first? Hatfield this time.
I think it might be this time.
So you've either got to travel that night after the festival's done, after like being at festival day, or you've got to get up super fucking early to get to Leeds in time for that day's worth of it. I just think like...
And it's a tiring day as well.
Yeah.
It's
Slam
so
Dunk's
much
always a
packed
busy
into
day.
a very short time.
And the thing is as well, this is tough because I've already had that sort of really weird feeling of at Download 2019 walking away from one of my favourite bands, Enter Shikari, mid-set to go and see Tool because I had to make the decision because I know the chances of me seeing Tool again was pretty slim. Now I've got that same fucking decision again where it's like if I see Shikari and miss The Offspring, I might not get a chance to see The Offspring ever, whereas I feel that Shikari is still sort of like going strong. Yeah, I'm a bit disappointed, to be honest. I can't lie. But yeah, we'll have a banging time.
I know it's a bit of a tangent, but I think the best thing that Slam Dunk could do, if they want people to start buying like 2 days worth of tickets, is they should follow the Reading and Leeds model, where half the bands play south on the Saturday, north on the Sunday, and the other half of the lineup does the inverse, and they make it a camping festival.
Yeah, they
Because
could easily make it a 2-day thing.
They
and
could just have
camping.
The Offspring headline Saturday, Shikari headline Sunday, and then flip it for
It's a good idea.
for North.
Yeah.
And I think like that's probably the best way because I know I've only been twice, but every time I've been to Slam Dunk, it was just like the day's so busy. I can't see everyone that I want to. We were leaving. You have to leave sets early to get to other sets.
I seem to remember
You
that
don't get a lot of
just the queue to get in was
Yeah.
rough. Like we miss people literally just being in the queue. Do you know what I mean?
So I just think but
Sorry, a bit of a tangent.
back to the
that's
point.
a discussion for another
Yeah.
time.
I do think that Shikari at Slam Dunk might be the click moment for me.
I think
I'm
it will
hoping
be.
it will be at least.
Next up, we've got a new song from Trash Boat. It's called Delusions of Grandeur. Probably how I'm pronouncing it anyway.
Yep, I think you're right.
I think that's correct.
It feels like the most bait FIFA soundtrack song I've heard in a while. In a good way.
Yeah.
I think the songs that sound like they should be on, but like I mean, it sounds like it should be on FIFA from like the 2000s.
I was going to say FIFA now is like
Yeah, not FIFA now.
trap.
It feels like a
FIFA doesn't exist anymore, does it?
Oh yeah. Oh shit. But it feels like
Rip.
a FIFA 2000s soundtrack song, which I kind of like. But that's sort of where my enjoyment of the song kind of starts and ends. I wasn't a massive fan of like. They've done a few songs that have got like talky verses,
That's my main takeaway from
and
this
I'm
one.
not a massive fan of when they do that, to be honest.
I'm a fan of some talky music, but I don't think Toby's vocals like really suit that very well. I think Toby's at his best where he's doing that switch up between cleans and screams. Like he does a great scream towards the end of this song, which is similar to their Linkin Park cover.
Yeah.
And like, I really want to like this song because I really, really like Trash Boat, but it's just not there for me. I don't click with it.
Oh.
Josh is shocked.
Well, do you know what? I must say that does actually surprise me a bit. So with this song, honestly, I thought it was a complete earworm, to be honest. Literally just like their application of the when he's like literally going like, oh, man, if I do this, like, woo.
No,
Like,
I do have that on my notes as well.
Yeah.
There's the little like guitar hook is great.
Like that.
Yeah.
That is dope. Okay, and I can actually see what you mean now with the
Yeah.
bait FIFA thing. I think this song, honestly, it's relatively simple but effective. I also thought the part when he's like gonna let it all hang out, and you just sort of hear "I'm naked," like sort of in the back, is honestly, that shouldn't have got me, but yeah.
You're a sucker for it.
I'm a sucker for it. Just a stupid joke.
Just a goofy guy.
A goofy guy. That's what I am. A silly goose. And then finally, on a serious note, like, I kind of thought that this song actually had a similar sort of like swagger to some of the sort of like early Gallows stuff with Frank Carter.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. No, genuinely, I was like, okay, I don't. Yeah, I was like, fuck yeah, because I miss Gallows, rip, but
Well, they're still going. Just,
yeah, it's not the same.
It's not the same anymore.
It's not the same with Wade. Sorry, but yeah.
Wow. Split opinions. That's why we do it. That's why we do it.
This is why we do it. We love falling out with each other.
Yeah, am I going to get out of here alive?
I will add as well. I think my opinion will change if I hear this song live. I
Yeah.
think it'll be a fun one live.
That was a big thing that I felt with. Oh fuck! What was the album called? Don't You Feel Amazing?
Yeah.
We saw them on the tour for the album, and I was like, oh okay. Half the songs that I didn't like, I now like because I've seen it live. A lot. It's the turnstile. It's
the turnstile.
You got to see it live to get it, and like so many bands that applies to it, like especially. But yeah, this song. The last single to talk about is Linkin Park's song "Lost," which was an unreleased song from the Meteora era that never made the album.
A posthumous release.
Yes.
Which, by the way, I thought was genuinely fantastic. It sort of kind of gave me goosebumps just because of the whole sort of fact that, well, yeah, I don't need to say, but essentially, like, I feel the song is so true to the Linkin Park sound. Like, I feel like if they would have released that while Chester was alive, like, it still would have been a banger without the sort of feel around it, how we sort of perceive it now. I honestly, without sounding too absurd, I kind of think we as like sort of fans are kind of blessed to have kind of been given the song like as you know, it's a gift in some ways. Like it sounds a little bit absurd, but I know I feel grateful.
Yeah.
I like genuinely a feeling of gratefulness. I'm just glad that it's just the one. You know, you don't have to give everything. Like, I feel like going back as well, what I said earlier about Lil Peep.
No, this is going to tie into one of my hot takes in our discussion shortly.
Okay, yeah. Lil Peep, I feel like they've sort of definitely an artist that has been tarnished for sure.
Yeah, because also there's definitely a fine balance between like, how do you know what he was happy with,
Absolutely.
what he felt was done,
Yeah.
or like what he felt he wanted to share with the world.
Absolutely.
And I feel like with this one, I mean, the fact that they had it, you know, recorded at the time of Meteora, which was like almost 20 years ago, and they just left it.
I think it is 20 years
20
ago.
years ago, yeah,
They're
they
releasing a limited edition
Yeah, it is, yeah.
box set LP.
Do you work at a record shop?
Nah.
But I feel like the rest of the band knew that this song was like appropriate to share with the world. But it's a fine balance when like an artist has passed away about how you treat like unfinished or unreleased music. And I feel like so many people have such a strong connection to Linkin Park's music, especially from that era, like Hypertheory, Meteora. So to get a song that's from that time, it's weird that the lyrics were written 20 years ago, but they have a completely different life to the fans now, given like that Chester's not around anymore.
I mean, hearing I'm Lost from someone that's already gone is a bit haunting in a way. Which, kind of hammers home your point, Alex.
Yeah, I love this band, and I love this era of this band so much. So yeah, like you said, I just feel grateful to have the song. Should we move on to the albums?
Hell yeah.
Oh, yes. So the first album we looked at is This Is Why by Paramore. And I would like to say that I fucking loved this album.
Yes.
Oh my fucking God. Yes.
I was concerned there. I didn't know where you were.
Seriously, like,
Bait and switch there.
I loved this album.
Well, let's set the scene first. How
How
do we feel? How would we rate ourselves as Paramore fans prior to this album? Big Paramore fans, average, surface level.
I would say like literally the singles.
Yeah.
I'll go out on a limb and say I don't think I've ever listened to like Riot all the way through.
Oh, you should.
I'm gonna get.
This is a journey for you now.
Yeah. So if that gives
Okay.
I was big on the old stuff, and then I think I stopped when they became a three-piece. Was it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't really listen to the album before this very much.
Yeah. I was sort of the same. Big into the early stuff. Knew the singles from like Self-Titled and After Laughter, but hadn't gone like all the way through those albums. So to go into this album, I felt a bit like I didn't really know what I was going to what we were going to get.
Before we crack on, I just want to get the negative out of the way. Come Say Come Sa makes me want to cut my ears off.
Yeah, it's a borderline unlistenable song.
Yeah,
but take it out of the track listing, and I think this is a flawless
that's what I want to
album.
do. I want to get that one out of the way, and then we'll talk about the rest of the album.
I agree. Josh is stunned.
I think that song is like a complete earworm, or is it literally just because it's just too? Is it just too on the nose?
It's the chorus.
It's just a bit annoying.
Okay.
I feel like it is the sort of thing where it's so on the fine line between like earworm or just irritating.
Really? Well, yeah, of course.
I can hear Hayley Williams in my ear going.
Okay, so essentially,
But Josh has a counter argument.
yeah. Well, no, I don't. Well, guys, Ragamuffin listeners, it just looks like I have no taste. It seems. Yeah. Running Out of Time is a really relatable song. I really enjoy it. I feel as well this album sort of the production was really good in the sense that it sort of wasn't actually too large. Sort of these songs really did have room to breathe. Like I really feel like they could have actually added so much more into the mix, different instruments, little things, and actually it had space to breathe. I don't. Some people might be listening to this and be like, "What the fuck is this guy on about?" But like legit, it didn't push it too hard. Relatively easy listening, which honestly I can sort of like I enjoy sometimes.
It was almost like minimalist in a way. It was
That's
like
what I've written here. Yeah.
here are the components we want to use. Let's push these core elements as far as we can without like bloating it out with other stuff.
There you go.
And like the biggest thing on this album I enjoy the most is the drumming. It's I
definitely.
think like not to the point where it's like distracting me from everything else, but it's like quite often times like it's the most interesting part of a song because everything else is so sort of laid back and minimalist that it's like, okay, well, there's a lot of room for the drums to breathe.
I think the drumming is where the kind of the blatant Block Party influence is clearest as well.
Yeah.
And like I really like the sort of almost indie punk kind of sound it's got on it, but also it leans kind of towards the chilled out side as well. Like I think the songs Crave and Liar summarise it the best because they're great they're not very in your face, they don't go like crazy, and they're not shouting at you like Come Say Come Say is, and it's not trying anything new or mental, but it's just great to just stick on and chill out to.
Yeah, I think there's a really, really good mix of like, there are songs like the chorus of The News is pretty in your face.
Mm-hmm.
This Is Why is a huge chorus, but then there are other songs like, I think Big Man Little Dignity's got one of the best choruses on the album, and it's quite a reserved sort of song the whole way through.
Yeah,
I just thought it was like pretty much a flawless album, Say Come Say aside. And I think it was just a really good sort of like reflection of like mentally where people are at, like just nowadays in everyday life.
Yeah, it's a great narrative of just modern day problems, I guess.
Yeah,
first world problems and stuff
and
like that.
Struggling,
brilliant point.
Just navigating the modern world, basically.
I feel as well with a band like Paramore, they are at a level where they sort of suffer that sort of like popularity curse. Where what I mean by that is sort of like you get acts that become so large that basically they can survive literally just on the success of their maybe like first few albums or something like that. For example, I know you guys have done some episodes about Slipknot not doing albums anymore and things but the thing is, I feel like for me personally, this album sort of like smashes through that boundary. Really, I feel like it's a really strong album. Whereas you do just seem to get those bands sometimes where everything they release, it doesn't even match, can't even come close to some of that stuff that they were doing sort of when they first were incepted.
Yeah, that's the thing as well that I really like about Paramore, is that albums like Riot and Brand New Eyes are cherished parts of alternative music and like pop punk, and they've worked really hard to not like distance themselves in a way that's like they're not proud of their past, but it's like they've just grown up musically.
It's still there though. I think like on songs like Figure Eight on this album, it almost feels like there's just a little nod of like acknowledgement to the old stuff, particularly on the chorus of that song.
Yeah.
So they've kind of grown and changed their sound, but also they're acknowledging that that's still a vital part of the foundations that makes them sound the way they do now.
Yeah, I think that's spot on.
Go on, Josh.
Sophisticated.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Is that fair?
Yeah.
I think that's probably the best way to describe this.
Gosh. Okay. Yeah.
Great album. I really, really like this album. And it's sort of given me an incentive to listen to Self-Titled and After Laughter a bit more now, because I think they're probably very good.
Graphic Nature released a new album, and it's really fucking good, isn't it?
So good.
Oh, yeah.
I think blistering is the word. Just like...
That's one of the many words you could use for this album. It's just fucking great.
I just thought this was brilliant. Like, just an angry, like, relentless, here's all the anger and rage and, like, just bile I have in me.
Legit.
Spat on the page. I love this album. I thought it was really, really good. The thing that sort of stood out, like, straight off the top, obviously there was like a handful of singles, but, like, the first proper song, which is Sour, obviously there's an intro track, love that. But Sour having, like, quite over
drum and bass
influences.
This was the main,
so tasty.
When I first listened to it, I was thinking like, yeah, okay, we've heard the singles, we've got an idea of what's going on, and then boom, drum and bass, and I was like, what? Okay, we're doing something different.
That song was really cool. I really like that song.
Yeah, the D&B breaks go fucking hard, and I feel like with stuff I've said before about sort of listening to metalcore and sort of things that sort of have like quite a relentless attack, it is good to sort of chuck in some palate cleansers in between. Like Skin Dread's like Babylon, their like first album, sort of did the same thing, and I feel like it's just a really good way to sort of just break up that relentless sort of wall of sound that can sort of after a while just sort of all blend into one. But I feel like they've really outdone themselves here, and I feel like the song A Twin actually had massive Linkin Park vibes. I don't know definitely. If you guys and I feel like Graphic Nature, just as a band as a whole, I reckon one day we're going to be able to sit back and be so smug. Oh yeah, we were onto Graphic Nature way before everyone else. You know, it's one of
We
those.
knew them before they were cool.
Before they were cool, yeah.
I mean, they're already cool, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I really do feel like Graphic Nature is not a name that's sort of like gonna disappear anytime soon. Like, I think this is just the beginning for them, and I really do think that they are going to become quite a name. They're going to do some great stuff. They're going to hop on some great tours, and I'm really excited to see where they get to. We know, because we've chatted to them and whatever, like how nice they actually are, and I feel like they deserve the world.
Yeah, absolutely. The thing that really struck me the most on this album was like how hook-filled it was. Like, so many of these songs have like a really memorable, recognizable hook, or like something about each song that's like, oh, I immediately hear it in my head when I think about what, you know, name a song and I'll think about that part of the song.
Yeah.
Whereas a lot of bands in this genre like have a tendency to just make a lot of their stuff bleed together. Whereas this feels like the way that the album flows and the way that songs like vary between each other makes it just a really, really interesting listen. And like, also the runtime helps a lot because it's so easy to just like 34 minutes. Yes, that's what I want from an album. I don't want to listen to an album for an hour.
It's like they've created a kind of a soundscape as well across the album. Like there's times at the start of the downpour, for example, where it almost sounds like someone's throwing acid or something on a exposed circuit board, and it's all just like fizzing and glitching and breaking apart. And if you listen with kind of decent headphones or a decent speaker system, then you can kind of just, it's almost like the noise is just like swirling around and sort of circling your head, and it's like you're just encased in this little world of desperation and suffering that they're sucking you into.
Yeah, and the thing that like has stood out to me the two times I've seen them live is that once it starts, you're sort of in a bit of a whirlwind until it finishes. Like there's sort of almost like no escape.
Like you're stuck on a roller coaster.
Yeah, and the album felt the same. I thought it was just a phenomenal debut album.
Agreed.
I had a lyrical callback that ties into exactly what Josh has said. The cage has well and truly been unlocked, and Graphic Nature are going to go on to do great things. Anyway, comments. We did some neck deep tier list videos on our live sent out to get you one. Ikram232 said, "You're wrong. The entire album is in the best tier." And then she said, "Jokes aside, this is a great tier list and pretty much agree with most of what's in here." It was very hard for us in that one to just not do as Ikram has said there and just put it all in the top tier.
I know you're not big on neck deep, Josh, but that album is a certified classic, modern classic.
I'll take your word for it.
Oh, I thought this was a Josh comment, but it's not. Could Bring Me the Horizon be the best headliner at Download? Retro Revival says, "Well, Bring Me the Horizon B's the best headliner." No, they're shit.
At least he's keeping an open mind about it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, here's a nice one on a reaction to the Download Festival lineup. Mark Jackson's commented saying, "Certainly for the younger generation now, nothing much there at all to interest the monsters of rock veterans. Enjoy it, it's your time. Hope they last as long as our bands did."
That's
Which
sweet.
is a really nice kind of acceptance of there's no point of arguing here, there's no debate. Have a good time, boys.
Cringe AF. No, that's. I sort of didn't. I wasn't. It seems it was. I wasn't listening properly.
Oh.
I was on the attack. No, that's very kind. Who was that? Sorry,
That was Mark.
Mark.
Cheers, Mark.
Cheers, Mark.
I'll do two in one go here. Every Slipknot song tier list. Stepan says Big L.
Yep. My opinion, so shove it.
And Lol Pezpol says, "When you put I were in approved, I stopped watching."
Sucks for you because there are some more controversial opinions later on in the video. So.
Which they would have hated even
Which they
more.
would have hated more. No.
That's the comments.
That's the comments.
Leave us comments on our YouTube videos and we may read them out.
Gig talk.
I nearly forgot about Gig Talk.
Gig talk time. Talk about the gigs we've been to for the past month. Do you want to go first, Dan?
Yeah, all right. I've been to two. And they were both on consecutive days as well. I went to see Beauty School in Cheltenham at the Frog and Fiddle, my first visit to that venue.
How was it?
First of all, really, really nice venue. It's like a really cool little sports bar with like a barn out the back, which is like converted into a music venue. And it was packed as well. I was a little worried that with it being a small show and a band that are from Leeds that aren't very local at all and aren't particularly big yet in their career, still in the early stages, I was worried it'd be quite small, but it was sold out. Promoters did a great job. Loads of people there early on for the local band starting out, opening the night as well, and a really, really fun gig. Beauty School smashed it. Weather State were really great. And shout out to Homer Jr. and the other support band that I can't remember the name of right now, but both of them were really great.
Lovely. It's always nice when a gig like that sells out, does well. And what was your other gig?
My other gig was Enter Shikari at SWX in Bristol. Again, there's not much to say about Enter Shikari. They always put on a great light show, and the set list was chef's kiss.
Tell you what then, who were the support?
The support was No Offense.
Yeah.
And a band that are actually really good, who have escaped my mind right now.
Blackout Problems.
Blackout Problems. They're actually really, really good.
What are they like?
I would compare them to the Hunter.
Okay.
They're kind of pop rocky, but with a bit of an edge to them.
Sort of.
And they put on a really, really great live show.
Nothing But Thieves vibe? Or?
Kind of, yeah.
Okay, I'll check them out.
I think they're from somewhere in Scandinavia as well.
Oh, cool.
Maybe Swedish, I can't remember. Although, No Offense, I don't really have an opinion on. I don't have very much nice to say. Kind of Youngblood vibes, but with no kind of direction. Like with Youngblood, at least he's got a thing.
Being cringe.
No Offense, kind of. Again, maybe I'm not the target audience, but it felt like ready salted pop punk. Not even ready salted pop punk. Those salt shakes that you
salt your
haven't
own.
put the salt on.
Oh, yeah.
Although I was salty, clearly.
Yeah, you brought the salt.
Yeah, it didn't really do much for me. Which is kind of annoying. I wish the support bands were in the other way around, because Blackout Problems are really good, and then kind of had to just endure No Offense, which kind of killed the vibe a bit. But then it was like, oh yeah, Shikari now. And they played a great mix of old and, to be fair, not very many new songs. They played the two new singles. They played Bull and the other one with Wargasm. Wargasm weren't there though, so it's fine.
Thank God.
And a whole bunch of old stuff. They played Enter Shikari. Hell yeah.
That's literally how it sounds, right?
Just like that.
Yeah.
Anything could happen in the next half hour.
Oh. Zonked. Fucking zonked.
Which I busted my face a bit on. I don't think it's still clear. I had like a bit of a purple lip for a little while.
Been drinking the Vimto.
Mosh pit injury. That's a niche one.
Jesus.
There's one for our British viewers from the 90s.
Oh, Vimto's still going strong.
Yeah, but I don't think they've really had like a Purple Ronnie advertising campaign for a little while.
Oh, in the early 2000s, when you watch Saturday morning cartoons and the advert would come on, I can still remember the little jingle. VIMTO. VIMTO. Like, that goes fucking hard.
That's not remembering the jingle. That's remembering the melody to the song, to that disco song.
Don't take me so fucking literally. Just let me cook.
To be fair, I'm pretty sure there's a Gala Bingo advert. He uses the exact same melody. He just goes BINGO. But
You've uncovered something
no,
there.
that is fine though.
Vimto could take fucking Gala Bingo to task.
But then if they do it, then the original writers of that song are going to do it to Vimto, aren't they? But oh well, that's a bit of a tangent. Enter Shikari were really good. They had I didn't know what to expect from seeing them in a smaller venue, with it being a tour of intimate venues, but they still brought a really, really good light show.
You have me on as a guest, and I'm literally here singing about Vimto. Like, you're regretting your whole... Like, you're just thinking, why didn't we just do it as a two-piece?
I was considering making this a paid appearance for you, but
Yeah.
it's not now.
Gosh.
Yeah, Shikari were really good. Production was great. Setlist was really great. Rao was up on the balcony for a bit. Turned themselves around.
Rowdy.
Good fun. Oh, very good.
Thank you.
I hated that.
Vlog out. Probably now, if not very soon, on the channel.
Nice.
You been to any gigs, Josh?
Yeah, I went to a local show, actually, a couple of weeks back. I saw a local outfit called Aramea. And they sort of do a spin on nu metal. It was at the Library Pub, which is literally a little basement venue, about 40, I think 50 maximum capacity there. So it's a great venue for like a really good DIY feel. They literally played only new material, and the show was still just the energy was there. They delivered the song so well. And I really do feel like they're another one that's sort of like, it's good to know now, because I reckon they will get somewhere. And I know the guys, and like, I know how much work they put in. I know how much dedication they have to their craft. And really, I do feel like good things are going to happen to them. So shouts out Aramea, and also just genuinely shout out the people who go out and support your local bands, because that place was popping. Like, it was completely sold out.
Good for Oxford as well, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Honestly, if you support your local music scene, then you can't see, but I'm doing like a big thumbs up.
He is. I can see it. One of the biggest thumbs up I've ever seen.
There you go.
Any good gigs lately, Alex?
Yes, I went to see Mum Jeans and Oso Oso in Brighton, and it was just very, very fun. We missed... you were about to chime in there, weren't you?
Also.
I was going to say he's going to chime in on the pronunciation.
I don't know. I thought it was...
I have no idea either.
Also.
I've been saying
am
Oso.
I just a fool?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. We went to Patton's in Brighton, which terribly laid out venue. Great big massive pillar in the middle of the floor. But the gig was great.
Excellent. Oh, yeah. Ragamuffin Music podcast listeners, Gaffer Tape Sandy. If you haven't already, check them out. Absolutely fantastic modern punk along the sort of similar veins as the Subways. Sort of like with vibes like the Future Heads and things like that, but sort of in more of sort of a more scrappy modern punk. Scrappy in a good way. Modern punk vibe. Who Alex is about to tell you that he really enjoyed their set supporting Mum Jeans and Oso.
I missed their set.
Plot twist.
Queue was too long, didn't get in time. But, you know, these things happen.
Sort your shit out, Patterns,
Yep.
Brighton.
But, yeah, Oso, however you want to pronounce it. Very good, very fun. And then Mum Jeans, just brilliant. Like, it was the textbook, like, example of just a band, like, having fun on stage. Like, in between most of their songs, they were just, like, riffing and like jamming like Red Hot Chili Peppers riffs and stuff, just like literally for fun. Like while like one member would be tuning up and then the bassist would just play like the Can't Stop
Love that
riff, and then the drummer joins in, and then he's done tuning, so he'll just play the riff as well.
They play Metallica at Slam Dunk.
They played Metallica at Slam Dunk, and they played the start of Crazy Train.
All aboard!
Just for no reason. Like they just had so much fun, but it wasn't like, you know, sometimes when you see a band and they try too hard with like their stage banter.
Sure, yeah.
To the point where it's like,
it seems
just
scripted.
Fucking get on with it. Yeah.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Like, this is Dragon. Like, it was fun, but it didn't, like...
detract.
It wasn't at the expense of the show. The set list was great. Everyone had a lot of fun. They managed to get a wall of death at one point.
Really?
Which is insane.
During what's, like, an ironic one or, like, genuine?
Ironic, yeah. It was White Trash Millionaire. So the song obviously starts from the new album. It starts, like, acoustic, and then there's, like a break, and then it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, and then it like kicks in like quicker, and it was then. That was pretty sick. A little circle pit at one point. Again, ironic, but like fun. It was just like the bassist was just there, just like, go on, do one now, and then like 20 people did. So no, they were really fun. Had a lot of fun. Did I mention it was fun?
That sounded fun.
Yeah, very excited to see them at Download as well. It's gonna be fun.
This is the other thing about what we were saying earlier about the Download lineup, where they've kind of just bitten the bullet and like done something different with it. It's not all necessarily bands that you would normally consider a Download band. Like Mum Jeans, they've had pop punk at Download before, but Mum Jeans aren't particularly a Download band to me.
No, not at all. But
yeah, they've made it work for this.
Yeah.
I too am excited to see them at Download, as long as they don't clash with someone else.
I Thrice.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah,
I thought you were going to talk about the band Thrice.
It's not all about the band Thrice, Dan.
It is.
No.
Favourite band, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah. No, those are the gigs we've been to, and maybe we'll go to some more.
Support your local scene, or else.
Today's discussion is hot takes and unpopular opinions. We're basically going to get controversial today.
Aye.
Say some things that might get get some people heated, but it's part of the fun, isn't it?
Part of the fun, couldn't say that
We've got
myself.
some listener submissions, some that I found on TikTok, cesspool of a website, and some of our own. Does anybody have one that's particularly spicy they want to kick things off with? Or I can refer to the viewer submissions or one of my own. I don't mind.
I'm curious about one of your own.
Okay, my first one is going to be... I think that bands like Polyphia and Animals as Leaders are just really boring, and it goes past the point of being impressive. Particularly live. But even on record, I think...
Now you said particularly live, that's where there's validation there. I think on record, they're great.
So
I really like the new Polyphia album.
Really?
I like Animals as Leaders on record, but I've seen Animals as Leaders live as well. And it's just like, I felt like I could just have a sit down and like not really be bothered about what's going on.
Yeah, I sort of agree with the notion, to be honest. Like, honestly, Polyphia and Animals as Leaders go really hard. I really like sort of... I mean, I feel like, honestly, anything progressive really resounds with me. But like Dan said, Animals as Leaders at download, I literally just like walked off. I honestly reckon something that could honestly change the game for them is potentially like, I don't know, like big light show, some crazy visuals on some screens or something. I don't know, but I can't take away from the fact that genuinely they are amazing. But it just doesn't...
I think if you were up close to the stage and like watching the actual intrinsic guitar work,
sure,
then there's some entertainment there. But
sure.
If you're a bit further back and you're just kind of, you can't really see what's going on and you're just listening, then not so interesting.
Then the thing is with like Polyphia, I've always really been quite a fan of math rock and things like TTNG, one of my favourite bands, and just sort of his style is sort of very reminiscent to sort of just like your sort of emo math rock stuff. And tonally as well, just Tim's guitar tone. Honestly, actually, it's. I'm not going to do a thumbs up this time. Dan, what am I doing?
He's doing the horns.
Yeah, doing the horns.
Well,
He's done a horns.
that's why we're doing unpopular opinions, because I knew that I'd be in the minority there. But I don't know. It just, even listening to it on record, like I tried to listen to some of the new Polyphia singles from their recent album. And I was just like, I don't know, it's just boring to me. Like, I feel like, don't get me wrong, as the performer, you should be the one having like the most fun with the music.
You reckon?
Yeah, the performer, yeah.
You reckon?
The person writing the song, performing the song, should be the person having the most fun. But not at the expense of the audience listening.
I spoke too soon.
And I think, when I don't know, when I listen to Polyphia, it's like, I feel like the only person that you're keeping interested is yourself. Like, you're the only person that cares that you're
But at the same time, are those parts not so like intricate that they're too busy focusing on trying to play them that they're probably also not having a good time?
Yeah, that's a good point as well. I don't get me wrong, I like some technical music and I like some progressive music, but I feel like there's a threshold that once you go over like something that's so technical, it's like, well, you're then catering to such a niche. Yeah, that's my first one.
Gosh, all right, I'm going to absolutely go off like a machine gun here.
That's what we want.
I personally don't understand the hype with the following artists: Phoebe Bridgers, the 1975 Beyonce Ghost, and Guns N' Roses.
Okay, let's unpack that.
Yeah.
Let's start.
And I think there's more, but I honestly, yeah.
Let's start with Phoebe Bridgers.
I like Phoebe Bridgers' music.
I very much like Phoebe Bridgers' music, but I can understand where Josh is coming from.
Yeah.
I think Phoebe Bridgers was almost the first person to break through in that kind of... I was having this discussion at work the other day, actually. Phoebe Bridgers was almost the first person like to break through and make that kind of not softly spoken, but like softly worded, softly sung, singer-songwriter kind of vibe really popular again.
Yeah.
And the problem that has sparked off from it is there's loads of imitation artists that have kind of gone, hey, that's popular, I'm going to do exactly the same thing. So where there's a problem there, I think, is like, because she's the head point of that style of music now, and there's so much of it, it's a bit like, well, I just won't bother with any of it.
Yeah, it creates a mindset of like, oh, this is just like a Phoebe Bridgers copycat.
Yeah.
And yeah. But it's a fair point. Who's the next one? 1975. Yeah, shit. The thing is,
Music's good.
music's good. Matty Healy makes it impossible to like them.
Yes.
Everything that he does feels so like disingenuous and performative and like, I don't know. But then he puts on a front that he's always being sincere, and I think, well, I don't know. I don't buy
Yeah, well,
anything.
which is it?
Yeah. Do you want to be
Yep.
ironic or do you want to be sincere? You can't be both. That's my issue with that band.
Agreed. Who was next?
Beyonce.
I just maybe that's just a taste.
Yeah, it's
Maybe
just-
we're
yeah,
not.
I
I don't think we're the right
yeah.
audience. But fair point.
Ghost.
Ghost. Do you know what? It's funny you say that because I saw this on Twitter the other day. Ghost pulled the biggest bamboozle of drawing me in on Image alone, thinking it was going to be super heavy, and it's just so mid. Like it's so just bang average like opera rock. Like what's it? I don't know. I didn't even know what to describe. It's just I just find it really boring.
I can't really comment because I've only really listened to a couple of songs, so it would be unfair for me to judge.
What's your reasoning for Ghost?
I cannot get into them, and I feel like the fact that they're doing so well, that's absolutely fine. Like, I just want to say, like, a disclaimer, like, literally, like, I'm not a complete closed book. Like, if anyone wants to chat to me, if I see about who listens to this and says, hey, I heard you didn't like, say, Phoebe Bridgers, for example, like, here's 5 songs, and I will listen. I'll take that on board. But yeah, I just personally don't get it. It doesn't click. There's actually another one, and I don't know if you guys have really had a listen or a look. A band that's doing incredibly well. Heilung.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, like HEI lung.
Yeah. So the thing is with them,
That's not me pronouncing it, by the way. That's me just.
Yeah. So
we've got the same band.
They essentially, I really appreciate the amount of like effort that they've put into their craft. Like, and I genuinely think like it's truly interesting, different, and well, yeah, I cannot take that away from them. They are definitely doing something different, and that's really refreshing, to be honest. But I feel in terms of the amount of time that I spent listening to try and find the thing that people actually liked, I could not find it, and I kind of came to a little bit of a conclusion. I was like, is this one of those things where people claim they sort of really like and enjoy for that sort of like nature of saying, hey, I like this really weird thing, look at me, sort of thing.
Yeah.
And I feel that's kind of the same thing sometimes with, honestly, Death Grips and stuff. I'm literally just like, do people
you actually like
genuinely like what you are hearing? Or are you is part of the draw the fact that you tell other people that you like this strange thing? As well, listeners, before you come at me with like pitchforks or whatever, I mean, if we
flat-footed, you can't run away.
Yeah, I can't. I've got flat feet. Like, the idea of running away just sounds terrible. Essentially, you know, if we do go to Outbreak Festival, I will be making an absolute beeline to check out Death Grip's live set, because I'm sure it will be absolutely raucous. And if you ask me again afterwards, I bet you my opinion might be completely different. But yeah, as I said, not a closed book, and completely willing to just sort of chat and yeah.
Yeah. Who's the last band on your list?
Guns N' Roses.
I mean, Appetite for Destruction is a very good album.
Mm.
Everything after that sort of sucks, but
I've never really delved into them, but I like the big songs.
Yeah, I'd say with Slash as well. I'm going to be that guy and be like, yeah, potentially one of the most iconic guitarists, sort of in terms of sort of the whole sort of like embodiment of being a guitarist or whatever. But like, it doesn't necessarily mean the best. I feel like it's
sloppy as hell live. He's so sloppy.
I've heard that.
Dan, have you got?
Yeah, my hot take almost sounds like I'm ridiculing Josh for having hot takes on bands.
Go for it.
But it's not edgy to dislike something that's popular. My main issue recently has been with Sleep Token, where you'll just be scrolling through Twitter and you see, I don't really like Sleep Token.
Who asked?
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
You don't have to. It's like they're kind of. I think we were saying earlier with Enter Shikari. It's like they're seeing loads of people having a really good time listening to Sleep Token and going, I don't like that thing.
Yeah.
And then there's that meme of the guy like with a giant thumb that just like reaches out and goes, All right, mate. And I'm not just saying that because I'm a big Sleep Token fan. It applies for like everything.
I think it depends. Like when Josh has just listed those bands there. I mean, who are we to say? Because we have a podcast where we talk about our opinions. But like on Twitter, when it's things like that, when it's just completely
an unprovoked
opinion, and it's purely because people like you're seeing other people enjoying themselves. That it's like, I feel like I've got to weigh in and like shit in your cornflakes for no reason, sort of thing.
No, absolutely. Like literally, I mean, you've had me on the podcast today to chat some hot takes. Like literally, I'm going to pull my weight.
You've given them here because we've asked you to.
I'm going to earn my stripes. I'm not literally going out of my way to shit on stuff. And honestly, I feel like I'm actually like in a bit of a blessed position, really, because just music in general, I genuinely kind of give everything a chance, and I actually would say I like more than I dislike by like a giant margin. And I feel like some people just like to sort of just be antagonists, really. And they sort of thrive in the negativity, and I feel like it's a really sad place to be.
I think part of my point is as well, like, they've put that unprovoked opinion out there because it's a popular thing. Mm-hmm. They wouldn't go out of their way to say they dislike, like, a local band that no one's talking about.
Yeah.
They're only doing it because Sleep Token are blowing up and they're going, I don't like that band.
Like, you weren't seeing those tweets before all of these new songs came out when Sleep Token were a bit, smaller. So it's unprovoked for sort of no reason. Should we hear some community ones? Here's some for you guys. Coldplay or Class, Stop Listening to the Internet.
Class is a bit strong, but they've got some good songs. I'll put it that way.
They've got some alright songs, yeah.
Yellow is a banger.
Dare I say it, when you're in the right headspace, what's it fucking called? I was literally about to say Livin' La Vida Loca.
Oh. Viva La Vida.
Viva La Vida.
It's a good album. That whole album's quite good.
And it's the same as like Nickelback.
It's just cool to hate them.
It's cool to hate them, so everyone hates them. But
as I said, it's not edgy to dislike something popular.
I think it's like a bandwagon of hate. But when it actually boils down to it, if you asked everybody individually, they'd be like, "Oh, well, Rockstar and How You Remind Me, or like Fix You and like Paradise." It's one of those things.
I feel like we're probably inviting some comments that say that we've completely contradicted ourselves already.
Just probably have.
You reckon?
Well, yeah.
Welcome to the RAGAMUFFIN Music Podcast, where we're like
the home of contradictions.
Coldplay and contradicting ourselves.
Another one from TikTok. This guy has said, "Disgusting and Aggressive" by Beartooth are great albums, but they have some of the worst guitar tones in alternative music.
Josh has symbolised that you're sitting out on this one.
I think it's a sort of fair point. Guitar tones aren't that great.
As an album, I didn't really like Aggressive that much.
No. I think the guitar tones do get a bit annoying after a while. I think that's actually a pretty fair point to have made.
It's all part of the growth.
Yeah. Someone has said Avenged Sevenfold are better than Metallica. That's a spicy take.
I'm not a huge fan of either, but I like a lot more Metallica songs than I do Avenged songs.
I don't think
that's that controversial. I don't think it's that much of a hot take.
I think the comparison only gets brought up because of Avenged's Hail to the King album, because it sounds so much like Metallica. But I don't think anything else they've done like prior to that sound like the Nightmare album, self-titled Seat of Evil, didn't sound that much like Metallica anyway.
I think they're quite different bands. Yeah, really.
I don't think they're better. I don't know. Different. I think they're serving slightly different audiences. Someone said Suicide Boys belong at a metal festival.
Yeah, I could see it. Like, especially we're kind of blessed in a way to be in this sort of like realm of music right now where I feel like, at least from what I've heard from like my dad and my girlfriend's dad and stuff, that sort of when it was like the 80s, you kind of just like stuck with one genre and you liked what you liked and you basically just shout on everybody else. Yeah. And the thing is, I think it's really great that now, with things like playlisting, we, 1 minute I'll be listening to something that's like music led by like a kalimba or something, and the next minute I'll be listening to like Dimmu Borgir, and it's just like I'm kind of like really happy that this is where we're at with it. And I feel like essentially that you've got to see it from like a festival promoter's perspective. It's like at the end of the day, the thing there is that they need to sell tickets. You diversify your audience, you'll hopefully in the long run sell more tickets. And kind of if you give something to everybody in a way, you know, sort of makes things more interesting. I could honestly just keep going on, but I think I'm going to put a stop on that one there because I could just.
No,
keep
yeah,
going.
I'll expand on your point and like,
Yeah.
people listen to a wide range of genres now rather than kind of sticking with just allegiance with just one. And bands are doing the same. There's not really split like this band does this kind of music, this band does this kind of music. There's so many bands now that just mix everything up into a pot and just do whatever they feel like doing. And that's because there's so much competition nowadays. I think if you look back to kind of like the Iron Maiden kind of era, the reason that band has so many fans, I believe, is because they were the only band that were really doing anything like that. Now you've got loads of bands doing similar stuff that they're all trying to outcompete each other, and kind of it's almost like a free market that it's great for fans because there's so many bands trying to innovate and do something different that everything kind of mixes together. And it allows people to listen to whatever they kind of want to.
I also want to say as well, like, look, if the Outbreak promoters are going to put Earl Sweatshirt on Denzel Curry on an Outbreak, then Suicide Boys could absolutely be, well, I think they are. So I mean, I think that is a thing actually. So I don't know why I'm talking about it as if it's like not a thing, but yeah, Suicide Boys at Metal Festival, absolutely.
I've got another one of my own. Count Your Blessings is not the deathcore classic that Bring Me the Horizon fans will have you believe that it is. It's perfect. It's fine. It's a decent deathcore album, but it's not this. We don't need to all drop to our knees and worship that album like people would tell you should.
Nostalgia goggles.
It's nostalgia goggles, and it's like, especially if you're an old school Bring Me fan and you're not happy about the change,
of course,
then you cling to those old albums.
That's the one you look
even
at.
more.
So, Pray for Plagues.
Yeah, have you heard Pray for Plagues, mate? Yeah, it's good, but have you heard the rest of the album? It sounds like it's been recorded through a fart. It's awful. Sorry, it's not awful.
That was really funny.
And also, I think it's I don't know. I think it's just a really like lazy argument that people have. I posted a TikTok. It was a shit post basically, and it was like ranking the Bring Me the Horizon albums. This is tying into another Unpopular opinion I have, and I got loads of comments that said, "Clearly, you're a new fan. You must be a new fan. Oh, you only like the new stuff."
Yeah.
Bring Me the Horizon are fucking huge now. They've got loads of new fans and have been getting new fans for like the last 10 years. Like, I'm not being funny. They weren't selling out arenas playing Count Your Blessings. They were a niche band then. Yeah. So when people are like, "Oh, you're just a new fan now," I'm like, yeah, because they're being played on the radio and they're huge.
Because they've been around for like 15 years, maybe longer, and maybe I didn't have a chance to listen to them in 2007.
It ties into like another opinion I have.
I did.
Like, when people try and flex or people try and gatekeep bands because they knew them first.
Throwback to earlier. We're smug. We know Graphic Nature.
Well, yeah, but that's in like a...
Yeah, but we urge them to grow. We don't want to just keep them to ourselves.
Absolutely.
And
absolutely.
I've seen it a lot like on hardcore like fans on Twitter, like with Turnstile lately. People are going mental that they're playing like huge venues and stuff, and that band's... And I'm like...
Oh no, they're bringing hardcore to the mainstream.
Like, do you not understand that if Turnstile play on like late night TV in America and someone goes, "Oh, they sound good," and then they look at like related artists on Spotify, then other hardcore bands get brought up as well. Like, I don't know. I don't understand the thought process that like you want your favourite band to grow, and then when they get big, it's like you try and protect them from like new people. I don't know. I don't feel like I didn't word that very well, but do you know the point I'm trying to make?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you guys got some more of your own?
Yeah. This is going to sound very odd coming from myself if you know me, and I'm sure these guys will fill you in if you don't. Essentially, I think that like hardcore dancing, two-stepping, especially crowd killing, but that's different, is genuinely absurd.
It's so silly.
It is ridiculous, but, and that is a big but in capital letters, apart from the crowd killing part, I do not understand why I'm absolutely infectiously drawn to it. So like, you know that bit in Beetlejuice where it's like, shake, 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 senora, and they start dancing? That's like me. As soon as that riff kicks in and you get, open it up, you know, I'm straight in with the two-step. And I'm like... But if someone was to film me and I'd watch this back, I'd be embarrassed.
It's like the goofiest thing ever when you're watching it.
Sure.
But the coolest thing ever when you're doing it. Yeah. When I two-step, I'm like, this is fucking awesome. Yeah. But like, God forbid if I ever saw footage of me two-stepping, I'd never do it again.
Crowd killing, on the other hand, is like almost a separate conversation.
Honestly,
because that's just like
if I went
a bit much.
Yeah, if I went off about crowd killing, I think we'd be here for a bit too long. And
the thing is as well, like with moshing and stuff, like you understand that you're entering into like a somewhat dangerous environment, that you're gonna get hit by accident.
Yeah, enter at your own risk, kind of thing.
But then it becomes a completely like the situation changes when people start crowd killing, because it's like, well, I'm here to have fun, not for you to like just try and punch me in the face as hard as you can for no reason.
It is just funny while I'm there and I'm sort of doing my thing, and like literally in the back of my head the whole time I'm just like, the last thing I want to do right now is hit someone.
Yeah.
It's just such an odd like.
But this is why we've got to wear our golden wristbands.
That's it.
I've got another one that's kind of related to crowd behaviour. I don't know whether it's a hot take as such or just like a pet peeve, but you've pushed like quite near the front of the venue for, let's say, an energetic or a heavy band or something. 2 minutes before they come on, you got a little tap on your shoulder. Oh, excuse me, just coming through to find my friend. And they've got one of those giant 2-pint cups in their hand, full to the brim with some kind of overpriced cider. Like a minute before the band comes on, they manage to take one sip, and then as soon as the band comes on, you know that pint's not gonna make it.
You're wearing the pint.
Yeah, that pint's going down the back of my neck. It's going to make me cold, and I'm going to leave that gig thinking of sweat and Thatchers.
I'll tell you
what's the point? You've just wasted about £9 on that double pinter that's just going to disappear as soon as the band comes on.
You've just reminded me when we went to Ali Pali to see King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard, and literally like 2 seconds in, my girlfriend Emily, bless her, had someone's pint go over near her, up in the air or whatever, and it went behind her contact lens. Yeah, I know.
The thing is as well, it's the person that's just bought the pint that's going to get pissed off when it gets knocked by someone. Like, just save yourself the effort and the waste of money, and just
I'll tell you what,
have a drink before the band.
I got one that again might ruffle some feathers for some people. If you're bothered about a crowd surfer or stage diver landing on you, you shouldn't be at the barrier.
You shouldn't have signed up for your golden wristband.
Like, I don't know. It depends on the gig. I think it's a gig by gig basis. If it's a band that doesn't normally have that, maybe it's a more relaxed band, like a softer band, and someone just out of nowhere just jumps and you're not really expecting it, then fine. But like, I don't know. I think if you're at like a hardcore show, like Outbreak, I knew if I get up on that stage and jump, I'm going to get caught. No, there was no doubt or worry in my mind. Whereas sometimes I go to a gig and I see it and I'm like, I ain't going up there because no one's going to catch me.
I've had times where a crowd surfer has come towards me. I've like taken them upon my shoulders and my arms and tried to pass them forward, and there's just been no one there, or people in front of me have kind of like ducked or not wanted to take them on. Just, it's a team effort, guys. Just carry them on.
I said the thing in the Stray from the Path vlog about, catching people. It was more about, I feel that sometimes people make a biased judgment about potentially the person who's about to jump or whatever, whether they're going to make an effort or not. And I feel like that's a real shame. And I feel like what you're saying with strength in numbers and stuff, and it's all about just making sure that everyone's safe and having a good time. But then again,
here we go.
I can't actually give you a definitive answer as to whether I think that maybe that person who really wants to be super up close to see their favourite band and then basically have to be their
have to endure that.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's a difficult one, and I feel like we could talk about the pros and cons and this and that. But again, I feel like we could be here for a very long time. But I just want to I cannot give you an answer to whether it's right or wrong. I feel like the word that always comes to me is, it's like you said, situational. Yeah. And people need to just literally register the overall feeling and vibe.
We got quite a few Beatles related ones.
I'm getting hungry. You can't make a hungry man.
You can't make a hungry man talk about the Beatles. I think that the Beatles have some absolute classic all-time great songs, but some of their discography is the absolute piss.
Nail head.
I just disagree, boys, I'm afraid. but I can sort of give you another band. I disagree, and I feel like if I was to sort of say that we'd be here. Sorry, I keep saying that, but I mean,
yeah, we could. Yeah. I feel like we could probably go back and forth on hot takes all bloody day. So maybe we should leave it there.
Yeah, we'll do. Maybe we'll do some more another time.
We'll do a part 2 episode. Part 2.
Yeah.
Does that mean Josh comes back?
Ooh, I think so.
You really want me back, guys?
Yes,
You sound like you don't want to be back.
No, I really do. I'm just curious. I just hope I did all right.
Have you had a good time?
I have. I mean, I'm actually under the impression, not trying to do your jobs for you, but isn't there like a album recommendation?
We were getting there.
Oh,
we were
right.
getting there.
Sorry.
But go on.
Just jumping the gun.
As always, at the end of every episode, we recommend an album for you, the listener, to go home and check out, as well as for us to listen to. So that's what we're about to do now. I'll tell you what, Josh, you can go last.
Okay. Just while I'm thinking, does it have to be super new or?
It can be anything you want.
Okay.
Literally anything. I'm going to recommend The Present is a Foreign Land by Def Havana. It's the first Def Havana album I've ever listened to, and I really like it. Never listened to them before, this album, but I think it's a pretty fun and interesting album to listen to, and I'm curious to see what you guys think of it.
Cool. I'll have to check it out.
I'm going to be cheeky, and I recommended Don Broco for James, so I'm going to carry that over and get James to listen to that so we can hear his thoughts on that in the next episode. I'm also going to recommend Thornhill, the album Heroin, because I've been told that I like Sleep Token. I like Thornhill.
They're really good.
So I want to listen to some Thornhill.
Lovely. Josh, your parting gift to us?
My parting gift to you is the album New Age Filth by Hail the Sun. So Hail the Sun are like a swancore band, sort of all in that sort of like Dance Gavin Dance sort of realm of music. I feel like they're quite big in the States but haven't really broken over here, and that's backed up by the fact that I think they were originally billed for Arctangent Festival and they were really low down in the lineup. With Hail the Sun, genuinely I feel like New Age Filth was potentially one of the sort of like the most underrated albums of 2021. It really is quite progressive and fun. The guitar work is really good. The vocal work is incredible, and I think he actually sings while playing the drums live, which is always a treat to behold. Genuinely, it honestly gives me a lot of pleasure to know that you guys are going to check this one out and chat about it, because I feel like this could potentially open you up to sort of the whole genre of swancore as a whole.
You played me some swancore before and I liked it, so
really excited to see what you guys say about it.
Lovely, we'll check it out.
Fun fact, there was an instrumental version of that album as well. I've just looked.
That's it.
Ooh. Well, this has been the Unpopular Opinions and Hot Takes episode of our podcast. If you liked it, we'll do another one.
And let us know your unpopular opinions in the comments as well.
What we got going on the channel at the moment, Dan?
Well, I've got a sneeze coming, so that's coming soon. It's gone, but my eyes are watering instead.
The sharp wit of Danny B. It's just literally unparalleled.
There'll be vlogs from our gigs at Enter Shikari and Mum Jeans coming soon, or on the channel now by the time you hear this, whichever comes first. And
at long last, our the footage from our live podcast with Holding Absence.
Very excited to share that. So make sure you hit subscribe to our YouTube channel, or if you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, just hit follow and leave a little review as well. That'd be nice. One last time, thank you to Josh for coming in. It's been a pleasure.
Round of applause for Josh.
Woo!
Thank you ever so much for having me. This has been really fun. And just to reiterate again, please don't come out with pitchforks and flaming torches.
If you want more Josh, then he's in a lot of our vlogs, so go and check all those out. You'll find them, whether you want to or not.
Thank you.
Or he'll find you.
Love you, bye.
Bye.
Bye.